Yuji Sano is a novice Tamer adventurer in the village of Sanos, and he encounters a really devastating monster in the forest. With his team, he's able to easily defeat it, but unknowingly forgets to purify a cursed stone. In the guild hall, an adventurer named Gale is recalling a tale of him spotting a slime that could breathe fire. His friends laugh at him, assuming that that's impossible. Suddenly, they stop their laughter the moment Yuji walks in. The desk girl Lily assumes that he's come back to give up on the quest, with her reassuring him that that's okay, seeing that everyone faces a quest that's too tough for them. But he's not here to give up, with him showing that he has more than expected. Due to his classification as a monster tamer, he's assumed by most to be weak and is often overlooked, but in secret he's a very powerful sorcerer, known as a sage. Lily runs off to the guildmaster as she's never seen so many dryad flowers. Ajies walks out to see that the boy has done it again. Suddenly Regan bursts through the door to inform the guild that 10,000 monsters are headed for them, with them planning to surround and attack the village. After Ajies has all the information, he decides it's best for them to leave. The adventurers are worried about what's going to happen to the villagers, wondering if they're going to be able to make it out in time, with them all willing to stay there and protect them. But Ajies says they can't do that, seeing that there's no possible way for them to win. Yuji volunteers to help them, showing them a bone of a dragon. When one of his slimes eats this, he can temporarily use the flames of a dragon, using this to defeat 10,000 of the monsters. At first they're skeptical, but Gale asks for them to trust his plan, with him thinking that Yuji just might be the person with slimes that can breathe fire. Yuji and the other adventurers mount a defense. Yuji has many companions with him, with them all having unique personalities and voices, with him turning normal monsters into sentient creatures. He's able to track the monsters using his slimes, as well as his wolf monster named Proud Wolf, and a forest spirit dryad. Yuji is able to protect the village with a barrier and destroy the monsters with his dragon's fire, by feeding the dragon bone to one of his slimes. His other slimes capture the man responsible, being a member of a cult named Blue Moon of Salvation. The cultist, however, commits after being captured, leaving behind a magical lantern that he used to control the monsters. Yuji realizes that his original plan isn't going to work anymore, with the village being cornered by all sides, so instead he decides to put up a magical spell, transferring barrier, then using the magical barrier to output a hellfire demise. The guild is shocked to see such a level of output from a mere tamer. The guildmaster comments on how if anyone else tried to use his magic on this scale, their entire body would be disintegrated. Yuji almost loses his footing, with him exceeding his mana limit and having to use his health. Lily tries to convince him that he should rest, but he can't. As a couple of monsters have survived the attack, forcing him to do it again. Yuji passes out from using too much magic. When he wakes up, Lily tends to his injuries, preparing him a meal, as well as asking him why did he do all this for them. Outside, the villagers celebrate his victory. Yuji briefly remembers his past life as an office worker, and he sneaks away from the celebration before he's going to be showered with thanks, or any rewards, so he doesn't draw any attention to himself. Under the night sky, a group of people are tracking an unknown enemy, with the leader wanting his head by tomorrow night. Yuji travels to Killy's Adventurers Guild. His slimes are hungry for some meat, asking if they can stop for a meal. Yuji admits that they haven't stopped for food in a while, but thinks they might be causing too much of a scene. Still, he feeds all of his companions. When he tries to register at the guild, Ellis, the desk girl, is a bit hesitant. Seeing that he's a tamer, she's unsure, but then registers him no questions asked, seeing that he has an enemy attracting ability, with this dropping their normal casualties by 80%. As he's looking for a job, the knife wielder Rodus walks up to him, asking if he's the one looking for a party. Next, a young archer named Tina and a spear wielder named Lisa introduce themselves. After Yuji mentions that he's a tamer, Rodus isn't as welcoming, with him not looking to cover someone who can't fight. The girls comment on how the one they should be worried about is Rodus, saying that he abandoned his last party, with Lisa and Tina using this as leverage to keep Yuji in the party. Yuji is slightly annoyed by this, with him finding it to be the same way in his previous world. They accept the job to track the rock dragon, with him not having to fight it but just find it. Tina gives out the positions, with Rodus in the front, her in the middle, and Tina in the back. All Yuji has to do is stay in the back and track the incoming monsters. Yuji telepathically tells the Proud Wolf and Slimes to stay in the front and to look out for any incoming monsters, with this surprising them, seeing how he doesn't want to fight. Soon, Yuji makes his report, saying that there's 5 incoming wolf monsters 2 kilometers ahead of them, with this being a little below 2 miles. Rodus finds this to be interesting, and runs out in front to see if he's right, causing the rest of them to run after him. When they get there, they see that he was right. Rodus excitedly takes them all out. Afterwards, he gives Yuji his credit. That night, the party starts to trust each other a little bit more, with Rodus willing to take the first hit on the sleep schedule. As they're sleeping, Yuji has a dream, with this being the first time he woke up in this world, with him being classified as a novice tamer. Despite his confusion, he's able to tame a slime without realizing it, with him next following it back to an abandoned house. Inside is an endless amount of books, and he's able to learn magic just by reading. Soon, several slimes come out to greet him, with them all wanting him to tame them. Immediately, the slimes read all the books of the deceased sorcerer, with him instantly gaining all the skills and knowledge from the books. Within minutes, he has the title of a sage, with this now making them sentient, as he can now understand what they're saying to him. Proud Wolf telepathically wakes him up, as Rodus went missing, with Tina and Lisa gone as well. The girls were tracking him, with Tina realizing that something was off about him after she heard the sleep schedule. They follow Rotus back to a camp, and Yuji has one of his slimes listen in on their conversation to learn that Rotus is a bandit who lures adventurers to kidnap them and sell them into slavery. Rotus already knows that the girls have followed him, but assumes they're going to trip on one of the traps any moment now. Tina and Lisa are afraid, and think that it's best not to stumble inside of the hut. Seeing that they're unprepared, Yuji manages to freeze all the bandits, using a simple weak ice spell. One of the slimes spits out a bandit, and the girls realize that this bandit's name is Gilius, with him being an infamous bandit with a substantial price on his head. Soon both Tina and Lisa are speechless as Yuji starts to do all the camp prep on his own. Yuji realizes that the Blue Moon cult was behind the attack at Phastan, and he appears concerned about the cryptic claim that Gilius made about a future calamity. Yuji continues to track the rock monster with Tina and Lisa. With the girls seeing his abilities from the previous night, he feels like they might be overestimating his skills. Yuji generalizes their response to him, with him remembering what happened in Phastan. With everyone being amazed with his skills during the adventurer's license exam, his examiner is shocked by the amount of magic he produces without a wand or incantation. After learning that incantations can provide more power when using a spell, he tries it again, with him further exceeding expectations. Yuji can store spells he learns in the database, with the database showing the effectiveness of the power and the effect of the spell. The moon in the sky turned purple, as foretold in the prophecy, and a blue dragon appears, with his forcing the group to take shelter in the nearby Delight Canyon. Two men start to speak about the calamity, saying the same words that the bandits mentioned in the previous episode, with this meant to summon a legendary beast. In the canyon, Proud Wolf and the slimes make their way past nearby monsters, informing Yuji of a wind tunnel. The party hears a large rumble underneath the ground, with a rock dragon emerging, blocking Yuji's path. Tina and Lisa run, yelling Yuji to take cover, but Yuji feels like he can take the monster, with him scrolling through his spell index to find the perfect spell. Yuji is put in a bad spot, but uses the overpass, allowing him to work without them seeing. With the help of his slimes, Yuji is able to use a powerful spell, burning the earth dragon, so only his skeleton remains. Tina starts to overthink what he did, and he simply just goes along with it. Ellis is shocked to learn they beat the Earth Dragon of Delight Canyon, with him next handing over Rotus and his group. The guild pays 14 million gold, or chicos, for the dragon skull and the bounty on Gilius. Yuji is drawn into a meeting with the guild chief, Ranyard, and Grand Cathedral representative, Father Scale. With them all here, they begin to discuss how they're going to defeat the Blue Dragon. Riel has brought him here to give a detailed description of the monsters, since he was the closest one to seeing them. Yuji doesn't know how he's going to do this, but realizes that he has a spell perfect for this, giving them a detailed drawing. Style reveals a church legend, with the dragon appearing years ago and nearly destroying the continent, with him having to be defeated by a divine emissary who can even rival the gods. 30 years ago, the church performed a summoning ceremony to cause the emissary to appear 1 week before the dragon appeared, but this hero never came. Suddenly they feel a large earthquake, and Yuji informs them that the dragon has just grown in size, with them only having 3 days until he reaches its planet-altering form. Seeing that they don't have the hero, Rayard orders the guild to attack the dragon. In private, Style reveals a holy relic from the capital, with the rest of the clergy unable to assert its value, with it being called Dagger of Kias, with it focusing and enhancing magical effects. Style gives it to Yuji. That night, his slimes report that the blue dragon is continuing to grow. Yuji fears that many adventurers will die tomorrow, and comes to the conclusion that they must defeat it tonight. Remembering what the examiner said to him, Yuji and his slimes bring an attack on the dragon, attacking with hellfire and devastation. The dragon responds with its own devastating attack. Yuji decides to get up close and utilize his dagger to enhance the hellfire. The dragon begins to grow, destroying the force to gain energy. Utilizing the protective barrier magic, he's able to deal a critical blow, but it's not enough. Yuji is able to avoid the dragon's attack, using his divine strike. Next, he closes the gap, and with the fire magic that he concentrates into the dagger, he stabs it in the neck, causing a big explosion, killing the dragon instantly. With the dragon mysteriously defeated, Style leaves, but Rayard suspects Yuji. Having drawn too much attention to himself again, Yuji decides to leave, and goes to the town of Ricardo, which according to Tina and Lisa, is a completely ordinary place. As he's leaving, he keeps a couple of slimes hidden to keep watch over them. Dryad informs Yuji that dead dragons contain something called Dragon Grace, with them sprouting mushrooms around the corpse. They're able to use this to make potions. The red mushroom increases a mage's skill, and the blue mushroom restores depleted magic. As she's brewing the potion, Yuji starts to remember the first time meeting her. Dryad was dying in a weakened forest after an unidentified person drained her forest magic with a magical crystal, so he saved her with magical transfusion. Then he destroyed the crystal, restoring her forest, but inside the crystal lurks an army of monsters. As a gift, she gives him the flowers that he used back in the village. After Dryad is finished with her potion, she hugs him and leaves to go back to her forest. Yuji encounters a village shrouded in a fog called Village of Mesius. The villagers appear everywhere, all giving off a weird smile. A man walks behind him and offers that he save the night. After he declines the offer, he instead asks if he can come inside for a meal, with him being served wine and bread. The man is suspicious about his presence here, asking what brings him to the small village. As he's leaving, The same man contacts an unknown person to reassure him their plan to retrieve the Dragon Grace is unaffected. Yuji makes it to where Ricardo should be, but finds that the landscape is covered in an unnatural snow. So this is where we leave off in today's video. If you like today's video, here's another one just like it, so go check it out. I'll be breaking down this anime into multiple parts. Now if you like the video, make sure to leave it a like, and why not subscribe to the channel? I'll be uploading daily videos just like this one, so see you next time.